the love between a husband and wife is a driving factor is a relatively modern convention. Maybe Immortals Phoenix Rising would be a better idea. The Dodecatheon. Aphrodite was the only member of this first generation of Olympians who was not a child of Kronos and Rhea. Some accounts suggest that she was the daughter of Zeus, but Hesiod, Pausanias, and Ovid all described her as Kronos' sister, who was born from the sea foam, whom was born from sea foam after the castration of Uranus. Despite being of the same generation as Kronos and Rhea, she was always considered an Olympian rather than a Titan. And more of the gods and goddesses who eventually made up the Dodecatheon, the 12 most important Olympians of the Greek pantheon. The Dodecatheon included Zeus, Demeter, Hera, Poseidon, and Aphrodite from the first generation. Wait, what happened to Hades? Okay, he explains later. And Aphrodite from the first generation of Olympians. The hearth goddess Hestia was not amongst them, as she later chose to live on Earth to avoid her siblings' squabbles. Hades, similarly, was not included because he resided permanently in the underworld. After the war between the gods and the Titans established the Olympians as rulers of the cosmos, the first generation of gods went to have many children. Many of the gods and other figures of Greek mythology were children of Zeus. Of the second generation of gods, several joined the Dodecatheon and were powerful deities in their own rights. The god Apollo, the god Apollo, Ares, Dionysus, Hephaestus, and Hermes all joined the ranks of Zeus and his siblings on Mount Olympus, as did the goddesses Artemis and Athena. The Dodecatheon met as a council to discuss the matters in their ruling of the cosmos. And Dionysus, the god of wine, attained his seat at the table only after Hestia left Olympus to reside on Earth. Human personalities. The Olympian gods were all too human in their personalities and often lacked the lofty transcendence of the supreme beings in later religions. In a dramatic soap opera of fierce rivalries and petty spats, their actions were influenced not by a desire to work for the good of humankind, but by their own selfish desires and whims. The Greeks therefore did not worship the gods by attempting to emulate them, instead treating them as they might a powerful human ruler by offering sacrifices and celebrating the deities at regular festivals. At its core, this was a system of exchange. People offered gifts to the gods in the hopes that the god would give them what they asked for, and the gods often rewarded mortals who treated them well and showed them the appropriate deference and respect. Zeus and his siblings could be needlessly cruel and were often subject to jealousies and petty fights. His brothers, Poseidon and Hades, often used humans as pawns in their squabbles, which usually stemmed from a reluctance to accept the supreme god's authority as unquestionable. Still more reluctant was his sister, Demeter, a strong-willed deity in her own right. After she was pursued and raped by Poseidon, and Hades abducted her sister, Persephone, Demeter wreaked havoc across the world, and infidelity, too, was a major theme in all Greek myths, not just in affairs and assaults committed by Zeus that riled the jealous Hera. Hello, Tima. Quote, Demeter was wroth with the gods and quitted heaven. Library. Okay. Between gods and mortals. Despite the power in many ways, Greek deities appear to have had an intermediate status, hovering somewhere between the spiritual and the real. Their attributes reflect the countless aspects of Greek everyday life in which the gods played an implicit part. All the gods had specific areas of influence, such as Zeus and Athena, who were among the Theoi Agoraioi, the gods of the agora, the marketplace. and the People's Assembly. Both Zeus and the goddess Hestia were also the gods of the home. Theoi katesoi, the agora. Hestia, Dionysus, and Aphrodite were among the Theoi Diatioi, who represented over feasts and banquets. The gods themselves also needed sustenance according to the Greek traditions. They lived on a diet of nectar and ambrosia, carried to the Mount Olympus by doves. To later belief systems, the notion that deities needed material sustenance seemed at odds with their divinity. Ancient Greek authorities, however, agreed on the importance of this nourishment for the gods to empower and sustain them. Alright. Next. Whew. I'm gonna drink some water. I think this is the agora. Yeah, we're gonna I don't think we can finish like the Greek myths today, because this is long and my throat's gonna dry out soon. But we are gonna continue until I'd say 1 o'clock. So about 2 more stories. The Greek myth is huge. So 1 more hour. Because, throat. Oh, sorry, that's my... I really need to mute this. Sorry about that. Muted. Alright. I hope you guys are enjoying this. This is less storytelling and more like, narrative, but... Yeah. There is some interesting information that I don't really know about. Anyways, Zeus in his first youth battered the earthborn Titans. The war of the gods and Titans. You know the mythology is huge because of Zeus. Yes. I'm going to get the book so that I can read along, though I'm not sure if I can get it soon. I mean, I got it as it's like not a physical book. It's Kindle. It's like one of the Kindle books, so it's an ebook. So I'm reading it from my phone as we're speaking. Anyways, in brief, theme: Olympians take power. Sources: Iliad, Homer, 8th century BCE. Theogony, Hesiod, 7th century BCE. Careful. Library, Pseudo-Apollodorus, 100 CE. Setting: the slopes of Mount Olympus and the plains of Thessaly, northern Greece. Key figures: the Olympians, the gods Zeus, Poseidon, Hera, Hades, Demeter, and Hestia. Titans: Oceanus. Oh, with my throat, thank you. I'll be fine. Hopefully. Oceanus, Hyperion, Coeus, Titus, Phoebe, Rhea, Nemosine, Themis, Thea, Citrus, Kronos, and Iaptis. Cyclops, Cyclopses. The one-eyed giants, Brontes, Steropes, and Argians, sons of Uranus. Hecatoncheires, the giants, Briareus, Cottos, and Gigas, sons of Uranus and Gaia. Alright. Zeus slipped easily into a position of authority over his brothers and sisters. Though the youngest, he had been in the world by far the longest. His siblings supported him as he strove to overthrow his father and assert his primacy across the cosmos. So began the Titanomachy, the war of the gods and titans. Yeah, Briareos. Yeah, that's how you spell it. Briareos. I can't spell. Briareos. There you go. I missed an E. Briareos. Anywho. So began the Titanomachy, the war of gods and titans. Zeus, with the support of his siblings, launched a concerted and determined attack against the Titan gods. The siblings were joined by some of Uranus' cast-out sons, the three Cyclopses, the one-eyed giant Brontes, Stirrups, and Argus, sided with Zeus after he freed them from the underworld. They were skilled craftsmen who made weapons for the gods, a mighty thunderbolt for Zeus, a cloak of invisibility for Hades. Wait, what? Oh, is that where Harry Potter got it from? Okay. A cloak of invisibility for Hades, and the trident for Poseidon. The Hecatocaries, Briareus, Kotos, and Gaius also fought for the gods. Each of these terrifying giants has 50 heads and 100 hands, and howled as they rampaged across the battlefield. Total war. The war was fought on the lower slopes of Mount Olympus and across the open plains of Thessaly, but the earth-shattering conflict encompassed the entire world. Huge rocks were hurled around. I didn't know Hades was a wizard, right? Huge rocks were hurled around. Entire mountaintops were ripped up and sent flying back and forth as projectiles. Bolts of lightning flashed like javelins across the sky. Flames rose up to the farthest heights of the heavens. The thud of marching feet caused quakes in the most remote reaches of the underworld. Swirling dust clouds darkened the sky, and the din of the conflict was deafening. According to Hesiod, yeah, Greek and Roman myths are different. Romans adopted Greek myths after the conquer of Greece. And then, but Romans also adapted other religions. Like they basically adapt whatever religions of places they've conquered, just so like to homogenize the people. They didn't steal it. It's not so much stealing as adapting, and not just from Greece. So, anywho, so the din of the conflict was deafening. According to Hesiod, the intensity of the fighting pained the soul. The advantage tipped back and forth without any real interval for a full 10 years. Neither side would yield. So finally, Zeus rallied his cohorts and refreshed the Hecatocaries with their nectar and ambrosia and the divine and exclusive sustenance of the gods, which conferred immortality on any mortal who consumed it. This may not have been the effect it had on the Hecatocaries, but according to Hesiod, the heroic spirits grew in all their hearts after Zeus gave it to the giants. Ultimate triumph. Reinvigorated, Hecatocaries were the tipping point. With such formidable allies and weapons, the gods were at last able to defeat the Titans. They banished them to Tartarus, the lowest pit of the underworld, where the Titans were imprisoned for all eternity under the watch of the Hecatocaries. Like, seriously, like, the Hecatocaries were, like, given the short end of the stick, weren't they? We're just like, we helped you guys win the war, you're locking us in with the rest of the Titans to watch over them, to quote-unquote watch over them. It's not even a nice place. It's like, you know, it's like the far pits of hell. I mean, they do have 100 hands, it's true. Anyways, they banished them to Tartarus, the lowest pits of the underworld, where the Titans were imprisoned for all eternity under the watch of the Hecatocaries. Zeus and his siblings now had full control over the cosmos. They set up their imperial seat on the top of Mount Olympus, and from where they ruled the universe. Zeus's bolts flew thick and fast from his mighty hands with flash and thunder and flame. Theogony. Right. Next story. Sounds about right for the Greek gods. Sounds about right. No wind beats roughly here. No snow nor rain, Mount Olympus. In brief, theme, home of the gods. Oh, Theogony, yes. Theogony, Hesiod, 700 BCE. Iliad and Odyssey, Homer, 800 BCE. Description of Greece, Pausanias, 150 CE. Setting, Mount Olympus, northeastern Greece. Key figures, Zeus, king of the Greek gods. Hera, wife of and sister of Zeus and queen of the gods. Hephaestus, the blacksmith god, son of Hera. The Muses, children of Zeus. The Horai, three sisters, goddesses of time and the seasons. The Moirai, three sisters, goddess of fate. There's a video for that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. The Theogony is an interesting. It's the beginning myth, right? The myth, the origin of Greek mythology, or like the Greek gods. All right. It's a very long poem. That's what it is. No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Actually, you know what? Send the link in case people wanted to see it. Originally, the dwelling of the ancient Greek deities were not in the heavens, but in the earth, in the heart of the earth. Once Zeus and his siblings defeated the Titans, however, the Greeks turned their eyes heavenward to worship the new generation of gods and goddesses. Hephaestus, god of fire and forge, built them palaces in the sheltered ravines of Mount Olympus. Hesiod described the mountain as many-folded, a phase suggestive of a sky-high stronghold full of secrets. The places were built of stone on bronze foundations. They were both gigantic and luxurious, their floors inlaid with gold and precious stones. Zeus set up his throne at the top of the peak of Stephani. From there, he hurled his thunderbolts at those who displeased him in the world below. Just make sure you don't hit wrong. Life on Olympus. The Council of the Gods typically met in Zeus's golden courtyard to discuss their rule of the cosmos, and gathered in Zeus's hall to while away the evenings with feasting. Apollo sang to them, accompanying himself upon his lyre. Sometimes the Muses came up from their homes at the foot of Olympus to sing, dance, and tell stories. There were separate stables for the creatures that drew the gods' chariots, most famously those that pulled the blazing chariot of Apollo, the sun god. Zeus had one drawn by the four anemoi, gods of the east winds, Boreas, north, Euros, east, Nautos, south, and Zephyros, west. Poseidon's chariot was pulled along by fish-tailed horses of the sea, while Aphrodite's was drawn by a team of doves. The Horai, the sisters Irene, Unomai, and Dike. I've just realized how much souls borrow from Greek mythology. Yeah. And Dike. Sorry, where am I? Guarded the gates to Olympus and saw to the ordinary passage of time and seasons. Another trio of goddesses, the Moirai, the Fates, sat at the foot of Zeus's throne and watched over the lives of mortals. Physical and symbolic. What we refer to today as Mount Olympus is actually a mastiff with over 50 distinct peaks, almost 9,850 feet, 300 meters above sea level. Much of the time, its upper slopes were wreathed in snow or dense cloud, cutting off the summit from the view of mortals down below. It is no wonder that the ancient Greeks held this to be the royal seat of their reigning dynasty of gods. The idea of the sacred mountain existed long before the Greeks began to worship the Olympians, and is founded in many other cultures. Mount Meru, for example, towered at the cosmological center of Indian religion. Mount Fuji dominated the Japanese religious scheme, and Inca priests in Peru offered sacrifices high up on the Andean summits. In mythology, the mountain peak has often seemed to occupy a separate physical space from Earth. Homer underlined this by showing Mount Olympus from different perspectives. Viewed from Earth, it was prescribed as snow-topped or cloud-enveloped. For the gods, however, Their home was a place of permanent sunshine and clear blue skies. Your powers spread as you read. That's true. If it rains. So I recommend to watch The Blood of Zeus if you have Netflix. Yeah. Depends if I have it on. Sometimes Netflix doesn't have everything depending on country, right? Anyways. Next, he bound cunning Prometheus in inescapable fetters. Prometheus helps mankind. Are they having a gladiatorial? I don't know. In brief, theme: origin of humanity. Sources: Theogony and Works and Days by Hesiod, 700 BCE. Library: Apollodorus, 100 CE. Setting: Greece, the Aegean, and the Caucasus Mountains, Western Asia. Key figures: Zeus, the king of gods. Iaptis, the youngest Titan, son of Uranus and Gaia. Clymene, a sea nymph, daughter of the Titan Oceanus. Prometheus, son of Iaptis and Clymene, I think. Deucalion, human son of Prometheus. Hera, wife of Deucalion. Hephaestus, the blacksmith god. Zeus's victory in the war with the Titans have been hard-won but decisive. He and his brothers held unchallenged sway over the heavens, earth, and sea. The usurper of a usurper, he had seized supremacy by dethroning Kronos, who had himself toppled the tyrant Uranus. No ruler could afford to become complacent, however seemingly unassailable their position. It's fun to watch me read the names. I mean, no, it's no offense taken because the names are hard. I probably would be able to read them better if they were actually written in Greek rather than in English translation of Greek. However, seemingly unassailable. No ruler could afford to become complacent, however seemingly unassailable their position, and a challenge to the authority of Zeus was fast approaching. Spirit of rebellion. Prometheus, the young Titan and therefore a survivor of the old regime, was a son of Iaptis and Clymene. There you go, Clymene. Celebrated for quick intelligence, dexterity, and skill, Prometheus's very name meant thinking ahead. He was an inventor and a strategist. Different sources disagree on this precise part Prometheus played in the continuing struggle between Zeus and his subjects. Despite all this, all sources regard him as a central part of the conflict. Self-confident in his cleverness, Prometheus was independent-minded, irreverent, and defiant. His contempt for Zeus's authority was all too clear. Worse still, he appeared to pass on this rebellious spirit to Zeus's human subjects. From clay to stone. According to Apollodorus' library, Prometheus was the creator of humanity, shaping the first man and woman from moist clay. The first race of humans walked the earth only for a single generation before being swept away by an angry Zeus in a worldwide flood. Prometheus's human son, Deucalion, and his wife Hera were the only survivors. Typically, Prometheus had outmaneuvered Zeus, prompting his son and his daughter-in-law to save themselves by building a floating wooden chest in which to ride out the deluge. Deucalion survived the Great Flood and its aftermath by showing more tact than his father. Hecaton Okay. Anyways. Da-da-da-da. Thank you for the Greek. Where is that? Okay. Sorry. Deucalion survived the Great Flood and its aftermath by showing more tact than his father. He thanked Zeus for letting him and Hera live, built an altar, and offered sacrifices. Zeus was so pleased to see his submissive uptime. Oh, 1 hour and 24 minutes, yes. Zeus was so pleased. Yeah. Yeah, Hekato Kieres is hands, right? Yeah. Zeus can flood the earth. I thought only Poseidon have the power. That's interesting. I know. But yeah, Zeus flooded the earth. Okay, sorry. This is I'm cutting off a little too much in this narrative. Yeah, gonna need that Noah's Ark. That different religion, different sides of the world. Don't worry, Sui. Wait, Noah's Ark isn't Greek. It's not. But like the flood mythology is very prevalent throughout the mythological, like, ancient world. There's a lot of stories about floods. Anyways, where was I? Oh, Zeus was so pleased to see the submissive spirit that he not only allowed Deucalion and Hera to go on living, but told Deucalion how he could recreate humanity. He and his wife were told to pick up stones and throw them backwards over their heads. They did so, and wherever Deucalion's stones landed, the bodies of living men immediately took form. Where Hera's came to rest, women sprang out of the ground. A trick backfires. Unlike Apollodorus, Hesiod's genealogy incorporated mortal humans almost from the beginning, although he said little about their origins. They were mentioned as existing during the reign of Kronos, but only incidentally emerging into the foreground only in the age of the Olympian gods. There were many great floods in Worth. Yeah, there are a lot of flood mythologies. Anyways. Sorry. They were mentioned existing during the reign of Kronos, but only incidentally emerging from the foreground only in the age of the Olympian gods. When Zeus summoned humans for a meeting on the sort of sacrifices they would have to offer him, Prometheus intervened on their behalf. Wrapping some choice beef inside an ugly ox hide and a bundle of bones inside some of the most delicious meat, he offered Zeus the choice of which sacrifices should be made to him henceforth. Zeus appeared to have fallen for the trick, asking for the outwardly appearing bag of bones, though Hesiod hints the king of gods may have chosen this deliberately to have an excuse for hating humans. Either way, Zeus was enraged. Far from easing people's plight as he had intended, Prometheus's cunning made them victims of Zeus's rage. The angry god hid the secrets of fire from his human subjects. This not only deprived them of warmth and comfort, but also hindered human progress. Out in the cold. Without fire or the technologies it makes possible, mortals existed in a miserable state of subsistence. Subsistence? They foraged for food in darkness, damp and cold, with only animal skins for clothes, surviving on raw roots, berries, and fruits when they were in season, and uncooked carrion. Ugh. Hi, Shinorufi. They used twigs as rudimentary tools and old bones for weaponry in what could scarcely qualify as a primitive existence, as they fought a daily battle to strive off starvation, and any possibility of shaping their wider destiny was unthinkable. Stolen fire. Prometheus came to humanity's rescue. He took some glowing embers from a blaze built by the gods high up on Mount Olympus, and secreted this fire inside a hollow fennel stalk. He carried it down to the little encampments where mortal men and women shivered on the plains below. Soon, visible from afar, fires twinkled across the length and breadth of the peopled world. In that moment, human life was instantly and permanently transformed. Heat, warmth, light, and safety from predatory beasts was just the start. In no time at all, humankind began to strive, smelting metal, fashioning fine jewelry and strong tools, and blacksmithing all kinds of weapons. From hoes and hammers to spears and swords, each new innovation opened the way to others. Suddenly, humanity was progressing at a breakneck pace. Yep, thank you. Thanks, cool dude. Have a good day. The humans are rising, that's true. Bye, bye, bye. Harsh punishment. Zeus was enraged by Prometheus' theft of fire. Not only had he been defied in the most public way, but his power over humanity had been significantly weakened. Zeus decided that Prometheus deserved an eternal and painful punishment. He had the thief seized by his henchmen via violence and Kratos' power, and carried to a high mountain peak, where, with the help of Hephaestus, the blacksmith god, they chained Prometheus to a rock. An eagle flew down, tore at his abdomen, then pulled out the living, pulsing liver and gorged on it. Despite the agony of this torture, it was no more than a beginning for the rebellious Titan. Each night, his eternal organs and his skin grew back, ready to be attacked afresh by the eagle the next day. War of Gods flashback. For centuries, Prometheus was tied to the rock. He was finally rescued from his torments by Heracles, who found him while hunting for the elusive apple of Hesperides. Prometheus would only give Heracles the apple located after he killed the eagle and set Prometheus free. Prometheus was not the only one punished for stealing fire from the gods. Zeus also inflicted his rage upon humankind, instructing Hephaestus to create the woman Pandora to punish the humans by bringing them hardship, war, and death. Her impulses introduced sorrow and mischief to the lives of men. Pandora's box. Yep. In brief, theme: the origins of evil. Source: Working Days Hesiod, 700 BCE. Setting: the foot of Mount Olympus, Greece. Key figures: Prometheus, Titan brother of Epimetheus, creator of humanity, and its greatest benefactor, Zeus, king of the gods of Mount Olympus. Hephaestus, Olympian blacksmith, creator of the first woman. Pandora, the first woman, created on Zeus's instruction. Epimetheus, Titan brother of Prometheus, which is like Epimetheus, I think. It's strange because they're like, oh yeah, that's the first woman, but what happened to the people that, you know, Hera and Epimetheus, I think, is what it's like. It's strange. You know, how about, you know, the people, like the stones that Priya and Prometheus's son threw behind them to give birth to women and men. Like, how is Pandora the first woman? I'm curious. Anyways, chronology makes no sense. So, in Hesiod's account of humanity's mythic origins, Works and Days, man was first created alone with no female mate to accompany him on his journey through the world. Woman would make her first appearance not as man's helpmate and partner, but as his punishment. Why is it that women are always seen as punishment? Like, without us, you guys, no men would appear. First woman that doesn't come from rocks? Possibly. A jealous god. It sounds like Adam and Eve were women again. Sort of. When the Titan Prometheus stole fire from the gods, he did much to empower humanity, at high personal cost. In an existence that had been largely trouble-free, humanity, to whom he gave the gift of fire, continued to thrive and prosper. As punishment, however, Prometheus would be held captive and tortured eternally at the hands of Zeus, who was a jealous and grudging deity. Far from rejoining in the hands in man's improving fortunes, the god felt threatened by humanity's growing confidence. Zeus concluded that in order to correct the balance between divine and human power, some great calamity in the world was required. That great calamity was woman. On Zeus's orders, the blacksmith and fire god Hephaestus set to work, shaping soft clay into a female mate for man. In all honesty, though, like, despite Pandora opening that box, I don't think woman is a punishment for men. If it was, Zeus would not canoodle so many. Anywho. Guiding the lily. Gilding the lily. The other Olympians then added their own contributions to the woman's makeup. Aphrodite gave her beauty and attractiveness. Wait. Yeah, is this considered woman punishment? Yeah. Aphrodite gave her beauty and attractiveness. Athena gave her skill in sewing. Hera gave her curiosity, and so on. Right? Zeus loves women. Where's the bad in that? Good question. I don't know. Mythology. That's all I can say. Aphrodite gave her beauty and attractiveness. Athena gave her skill in sewing. Hera gave her curiosity, and so on. Hermes, the god's messenger, gave woman the power of speech to help her communicate, but he also gave her the dangerous gift of guile. This new woman was enchanting in her beauty, seductive in her softness, inspiring in her smile, and soothing in her gentleness. In light of these traits, she was given the name Pandora, literally meaning all gifts. Her name alone would have caused Prometheus concern. He had previously warned his brother, Prometheus, not to accept any offering from Zeus, in case it unleashed some evil thing for mortal men. However, due to the punishment of Prometheus had been left in charge in the world of men, whereas Prometheus's name meant thinking ahead or foresight. Epimetheus's name meant thinking after. He was gullible and did not stop to think when Zeus's messenger Hermes presented him with Pandora as a goodwill present to humanity from Zeus. Nor did he give a second glance to the present that she herself brought with her, a pithos, or a ceramic jar, usually reimagined as a richly ornamented box in modern retellings. The all-gifted girl was both gift and giver. Zeus just wants more children. Right? Fatal curiosity. Acts first, think later. Kind of character then? Yes, pretty much, I think. There was nothing inherently evil about Pandora. Although she had been warned against opening the python, it was her innocent curiosity, a characteristic given by Hera, that led to her downfall. When she could not resist peering inside the jar, she pulled back the lid, and all the ills and misfortunes of the world flew out: hunger, sickness, loss, loneliness, death. Horrified, Pandora hastily pushed the lid back on, just in time to prevent hope from escaping. With hope, the world could still preserve, despite the adversity that the jealous Zeus had inflicted on mankind. It's weird. So she releases all the misfortunes, but does not release hope. So hope is inside mankind, I guess. Everything is outside. Blap, 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 blap. Like, even if she released hope, I don't think that would have been a problem. Just saying. Just saying. Zeus had many women, both mortal and immortal, the many affairs of Zeus. In brief, theme: lovers of the gods. Source: Iliad, Homer, 8th century BCE. Theogony, Works and Days, The Shield of Heracles. Hesiod, 700 BCE. Library, Pseudo-Apollodorus, 100 CE. Setting: Greece and the Aegean. Key figures: Zeus, father of the gods. Hera, Zeus's wife, queen of the gods. Mnemosyne, goddess of memory. Europa, Phoenician princess. Antiope, daughter of the river god Asopus. Leda, a Spartan princess. Metis, daughter of Oceanus. Athena, daughter of Metis. A jar closed right before motivation came out. Yeah, Europe. The sexual adventures of Zeus, the king of gods, made up a significant strand of ancient Greek mythology. Yeah, we all know that. Without Zeus's many infidelities, the myths suggest that knowledge and artistic expression of any kind, poetry, drama, music, or works of art, would not exist. One of Zeus's first affairs was with Mnemosyne, the Titan goddess of memory. After he slept with her on 9 consecutive nights, 9 daughters were born, collectively known as the Muses. Each of these daughters became responsible for inspiring mortals in a particular era of artistic endeavor. Calliope inspired epic poetry. Clio, history. Euterpe, lyric poetry and song. Erato, love poetry. And Polyhemia? Again. Sacred poetry. Melopone became responsible for inspiring tragic drama. That's a lot of kids, yeah. Thalia took charge of comedy and pastoral poetry. Terpsichore inspired dance, and Urania, astronomy. All through the classical period, musicians and poets called on the Muses for assistance as they worked. Blessed is he whom the Muses love, said the Greek poet Hesiod after invoking their help in Theogony, his poem about the genealogy of the gods. With the inspiration of the Muses, Hesiod said musicians and poets could relieve a suffering mind of its cares. Hera and the cuckoo. Cuckoo? Sorry, I had to pause for a moment. Zeus's instinct for trickery was an integral part of his character and informed all of his erotic exploits. He had assumed the form of a mortal, a handsome shepherd who seduced Mnemosyne. And many of his other love affairs involved familiar sort of shape-shifting. Hera, Zeus's wife, had also been won this way. The notoriously formidable goddess had dismissed Zeus's disdainfully when he first approached her, forcing him to take deceptive measures to win her affections. First, he summoned a thunderstorm, then he stood outside her window and took on the form of a fledgling cuckoo. Its expression helpless, and its feathers ruffled up as if chilled and battered by the wind-blown hail. Hera could not bear to see this tiny creature suffering. She cupped the cuckoo in her hand and placed it inside her dress against her bosom, so that it could get warm. At this point, Zeus assumed his normal quasi-human form and seduced her. The conquest of Hera was not the only time Zeus took the form of a bird. Zeus took on the shape of a swan in order to seduce the Spartan princess Leda. As with Hera, he took advantage of his victim's compassion. Apparently, fleeing from an attacking eagle, he fell into her arms, but when she cradled him protectively, Zeus raped her. In the case of the Theban princess Semele, his choice of species, a raptor, clearly signaled his predatory intentions. Taking the form of an eagle, his royal for God that sent women as punishment, Zeus likes to get that punishment, right? Taking the form of an eagle, his royal emblem, he visited Semele and made her pregnant. Dionysus, god of wine and festivity, was the result of the reunion. Ruined innocence. Zeus's conquest of Clymene, a mortal princess with whom he fathered Heracles, was more sinister. Clymene was a paragon of beauty, charm, and wisdom. She was betrothed to Amphitryon, the son of a Theban general. Zeus assumed his guise and approached Clymene while her fiancé was away avenging the deaths of her brothers. King Acrisius of Argos was particularly anxious to keep his daughter Diane chaste. He had been warned by an oracle that she was destined to bear a son who would one day slay him. To avoid this fate, he placed her in a cell so that no one could come near her. However, Zeus took the form of a shower of gold to pour himself through her prison's skylight. The child of the encounter, Perseus, would later unwittingly cause her father's death. Zeus is a... yeah... Zeus is a Giga Chad. Right. Yeah, that did catch me off guard too. Anyways. So yeah, a shower of gold made her pregnant. Where in the world do you begin with that? Zeus is as beast. Despite her name, Europa was a child of Asia, a princess of from Phoenicia, a region covering parts of Israel, Syria, and Lebanon. Smitten by her charms, Zeus took on the form of a fine white bull and mingled among her father's cattle, picking flowers. Europa noticed the new bull and was struck by its beauty and its seeming gentleness. When she drew near to pet it, the bull lay down, and she climbed onto its back. Suddenly, the bull leaped up and sped away across the fields and over the seas while the terrified girl clung on for dear life. The bull only stopped when it reached the island of Crete, where Zeus last revealed himself and bedded his young victim. Zeus rewarded Europa by making her Crete's first queen. In time, she gave birth to Minos, the island's first king. That's some fertile gold. The island's first king. Scholars think the story of Europa may have originated in Crete, where the cult of the bull also produced the story of Theseus and the Minotaur. For his assault on Antiope, the daughter of Asopos, a river god from Attica in central Greece, Zeus took the shape of a satyr, a half-man, half-goat who roamed the wild woods. Usually associated with the idea of lechery, satyrs were often depicted with erections in ancient art. Zeus had disguised his identity, not his lust. Zeus. I want you to end the stream to watch the video I sent early because it will help if you want, that is. We're almost done in this chapter anyways. Hiding from Hera. In some stories... Yeah, that's a very Zeus idea of disguise. I agree. Hiding from Hera. In some stories, it was Zeus's quarry who had taken a different shape. In case of Io, the daughter of the king of Argos, the priestess in the temple of Zeus, Zeus's wife, Hera. Zeus transformed himself into a cloud to make his approach and conceal it from the watchful Hera. Once he had raped Io, he turned her into a beautiful white heifer to hide her from his wife. Hera saw through the trick and asked if she could have a heifer as a gift. Zeus had no option but to agree. Hera consigned Io to the care of the hundred-eyed giant Argus to watch over. Maddened with frustration, Zeus sent his son Hermes to slay the all-seeing herdsman. The divine messenger blinded Argus with a touch from his Kerchion, or staff. As the giant lay there dead, Hermes collected up his 100 eyes and set them on the peacock's tail. The bird was sacred to Hera from that time on. If Zeus thought the way was now clear for him to pursue Io, he was wrong. Hera sent a fly to attack her, buzzing about and biting her again and again. The insect put Io to flight. Blah, blah, blah. The insect put Io to flight and chased her across Earth. Io was never to find rest. I mean, like, it's not the girl's fault, you know. She was your priestess. Like, she wasn't gonna betray you. But then again, you know, like, you just blame it all on Zeus. Poor girl. Right? Why is it always the woman's fault? Anyways, the birth of Athena. Metis, Zeus's cousin, and in some accounts, his first wife, wrought her own transformation in a bid to shake off Zeus's pursuit. Metis assumed a series of different forms to avoid him, but Zeus eventually succeeded in catching her and making her pregnant. Nevertheless, Zeus was worried. Metis was renowned for her sharp intellect and wiliness, and an oracle had told him that Metis was destined to bear a child who matched her strength and cunning. Seriously, if you're worried, don't sleep with her. Zeus, a usurper who had overthrown his own father, was on his guard against this child. Just before Metis was due to give birth, Zeus challenged her to a shape-shifting match. When she was vain enough to agree, When Zeus told her that he did not believe she could transform herself into a tiny fly, she promptly did, and was swallowed by a triumphant Zeus. It was a clever trick, but it did not succeed. When Zeus developed an unbearable headache, the Titan god Prometheus swung an axe at his head, splitting it wide open. Out from the wound sprang Athena, the goddess of war and wisdom. In a full suit of armor, she became one of the most important deities on Olympus and the patron, goddess of the powerful city-state of Athens. I don't think Zeus knows what "don't sleep with" means. No, I don't think he does either. Oh no, this prey is going to get hunted. Let's move the prey instead of doing something about the hunter. Right. And like, look, guys, look. Okay, like, if you're worried about the Metis giving birth to someone that could take over you, don't sleep with Metis. That is like, like the smartest thing to do, but apparently he can't control his lower half. So, best solution, eat her. Seriously. Anyways, both transformed. In some stories, both predator and prey underwent changes. Zeus again disguised himself as an eagle to pursue Asteria, the Titan goddess of shooting stars. She transformed herself into another bird, a timid quail, in a desperate bid to escape, and finally dove into the sea. There, she changed her shape again and was preserved forever as an island, later variously identified as Delos or Sicily. It was on this island that Asteria's younger sister Leto was to find sanctuary some years later, after she, too, caught the lecherous eye of Zeus. Here she gave birth to twins, Apollo, the god of the sun and of poetry, prophecy, and healing, and the divine huntress, Artemis, goddess of the moon. Mythology relates scores of Zeus's exploits, highlighting a sexual appetite that apparently drew little censure in ancient Greece. Despite his countless acts of rape, deception, and infidelity, the king of the gods was not seen as a villain. In his dialogue, Euthyphro, the ancient Greek philosopher Plato declared, "Do not men regard Zeus as the best and most righteous of the gods?" But did Zeus attempt copulation with the island? I don't think he did. Thank God. Yes. Anyways. Yeah. Right? Imagine if it was Zeus that got his genitals cut. I mean, like, Zeus did it with a lot of women. His dad did it with just one. So, really, in all honesty, I would say Kronos was better than Zeus. Just personally thinking. Despite the fact that he ate his children. Like, yeah. Anyways, we're gonna stop here today. Because my throat is tired. Well, not my throat is tired, but like it's almost time, and I don't think we have time to finish the rest of this chapter. We might. Nah. But yeah. So after this is let me check. What do we have after this in terms of storyline? We read a lot. Right. So after this is mighty Hades, who dwell in Hades, who dwells in the houses underneath the earth. So Hades and the underworld. And then the adoption of Persephone. After that is the cult of Dionysus, and then it's Orpheus and Eurydice. Hermes' first day, interesting, bringer of dreams. The foundation of Athens, Apollo and the Oracle of Delphi, Apollo and Daphne, the Trojan War, Orestes avenges Agamemnon, the quest of Odysseus, the labors of Heracles, Theseus and the Minotaur, Daedalus and Icarus, Perseus and Medusa, Jason and Medea, the fate of Oedipus, Aphrodite and Adonis, King Metis, and the legend of Atlantis is the last part. Thank you. And then after that is ancient Rome, which is almost as long. But yeah, so that's where we are at. Thank you so much. We will continue this, actually. I kind of enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoyed this as well. But yeah, we will continue this at some point later. It's pretty fun. Thank you. Good. I mean, like, I'm not sure. Thank you for reading to us. It was fun. Thank you. I'm not sure, like, how much you guys would enjoy this simply because it's just me reading more than anything else. I'm glad it's sort of well received. It was quite fun. Good. I'm glad. Yay. But yeah, if anyone's interested, it's the mythology book is what it's called. Here, let me make this bigger. So mythology book, big ideas simply explained is the title of the book. I'm one of those that connect myths from all over the world, so this is an enriching stream. Good. Good. I'm glad. Yeah. It's fun. I enjoy mythology, so like, it's like the way people write mythology is interesting. It depends on how they write it that makes the narrative so different, Anyways, that's awesome, Sasamuka, right? Dasamuka. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, thank you so much, and thank you, Yenny, for the link. I will check it out later. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and don't forget to keep hydrated. I need to start hydrating myself. Don't forget, Norse myths are pretty intriguing too. Yeah, I would be looking forward to the Norse myths, because I think that's what comes after the Roman myths is Norse mythology. Yeah, take care. We will continue this at some point, maybe next week. I don't want to do every stream as a reading stream, so we will probably continue this sometime next week because I do enjoy this. However, tomorrow, just as tomorrow for me, same night for you guys in the Western world, pending myself and a bunch of other people are going to be going through the main story scenario quest, MSQ, for Final Fantasy XIV. Because I bought pending a story skip. What is that blue bar above my head? Anyways, because I bought pending a story skip, which I sort of regret because like you can't enjoy the story that way. Oh, thank you for joining the Discord. So that being the case, we've decided to just go through the story and enjoy it as best we can. Myself, not for the first time, but it would be interesting to be like, get a new look on the story. Anywho. Wait, I suppose it'd be, I'm grateful for the knowledge you bestow upon us, oh dragon goddess. Thank you. So anyways, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Japanese time, 8 a.m. EST, which is like, 9 a.m. EST. So like 10 hours time, sort of 10 hours time. Yeah, 10 hours time. Thank you for the subscription, I've seen. Anyways, all right, who can I raid right now? Who's online? Let me check.
Twitch. Twitch.com. Who art online? Oh, Harane. Harane be online. I have no choice but to raid Harane. I will. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Harane's on, so I'm raiding Harane. I don't know if she's finished yet, so.